The shuttle door opened with a hiss, and Daniel stepped onto the dusty ground of the alien colony. His boots sank slightly into the soft dirt. The air smelled strange, heavy with an earthy scent that did not belong to Earth. He pulled his bag tighter over his shoulder and looked at the wide plain stretching ahead. For months he had been searching for steady work. Earth's economy was collapsing and jobs were scarce. When he heard about an offer on an alien farming colony, he thought it was perfect. The ad was clear. Strong workers needed, food and shelter provided, high pay for plowing fields. He smiled at the memory. He was good at farm work. He had grown up on farmland, pushing plows and fixing tractors. This job sounded almost too easy. The first thing he noticed was the silence. No animals, no machines. Only the whisper of wind across the empty fields. In the distance, he saw tall buildings shaped like curved shells, glowing faintly in the alien sun. Around him, groups of tall, silver-skinned aliens stood watching. Their eyes were large and glowing faint green. They didn't speak, but Daniel could feel their stares. A tall overseer stepped forward. He wore a robe made of dark cloth embroidered with golden threads. His voice was deep and strange, but the translator in Daniel's ear changed the words into English. "You are the human worker?" "Yes," Daniel answered quickly, trying to sound confident. "I came for the job. I'm ready to plow the fields." The overseer studied him for a long time, his thin lips curved into something close to a smile. "Good. You will begin soon." He motioned for Daniel to follow. Daniel walked across the dusty ground, waiting to see the farmland. He expected rows of crops, soil ready for seed, irrigation lines, or tractors. But the closer he got, the stranger things became. There were no plows, no fields, only wide courtyards of stones and rows of strange huts. Finally, the overseer stopped before a huge gate, carved with alien symbols. The gate opened slowly, and Daniel stepped inside. He froze. On the other side were not fields, not soil, not crops. Instead, dozens of alien women stood in lines. Their skin shimmered in soft colors, blue, green, silver, and their eyes glowed like jewels. Each wore a simple cloth draped over their body, and each stared silently at Daniel. Some curious, some shy, some with faint smiles. Daniel's throat went dry. He turned back to the overseer. I thought this was a farm job." The overseer's expression was calm, almost amused. "It is, human. You came to plow our fields. These are our fields." His hand gestured toward the women waiting in silence. A cold chill ran down Daniel's back. He realized he had misunderstood everything. The whispers, the strange looks, the silence. It all made sense now. The alien women stood waiting, as if he was expected to choose one. Daniel's heart raced. He wanted to protest, to demand answers, but the crowd around the gate grew larger. Aliens gathered to watch. Their glowing eyes followed his every move. He had come here desperate for work, for survival. But what kind of job had he just stepped into? The overseer leaned closer, his voice low. "You will begin tonight." Daniel swallowed hard. The job to plow fields was not about soil, it was about them, and there was no turning back. Daniel did not sleep that first night. He sat on the thin bed inside his assigned hut, staring at the stone walls. His mind raced with the memory of the women standing in rows. He had signed up for farm work, real soil, real crops, but here the meaning of plowing fields was twisted. He felt trapped. At dawn, the overseer's voice echoed outside. "Human, come." Daniel stepped out, the alien sun casting sharp light across the courtyard. The air felt heavier than Earth's, filled with the smell of strange herbs. Dozens of villagers gathered, silent as always. Their glowing eyes followed him like hunters watching prey. The overseer led him through narrow stone paths until they reached another gate. Taller, wider, carved with fresh alien symbols glowing faintly green. The gates groaned open, revealing what they called the first field. Daniel stopped, his breath catching. Inside was not farmland, but a wide hall lit by soft blue flames. The floor was covered with smooth stone tiles, and along the walls stood alien women, even more beautiful and strange than before. Their skin shimmered like liquid metal, their hair floated as if underwater. Some lowered their eyes shyly, while others stared at Daniel boldly. The overseer raised his staff, his voice carrying over the crowd. "The human begins his duty. Today, he works the first field." Daniel's stomach turned. he whispered under his breath. This isn't farming. This is... He could not even finish the thought. One of the women stepped forward. She was tall, her skin a pale shade of silver blue. Her eyes glowed soft violet. She looked nervous, clutching the cloth over her chest. Her lips trembled as she spoke in her own language. The translator buzzed in Daniel's ear. I am chosen. Do not hurt me, human. Her words pierced him deeper than a blade. She was not eager. She was afraid. He realized this was not only about it was about them. They were being treated like tools, just like him. The overseer's gaze sharpened. Do your work, human, or you will be punished. Daniel's fists clenched. He wanted to refuse, but the heavy stares of the crowd pressed against him. He could feel the threat in the air. He understood now. This was not just a contract, it was a trap. Still, Daniel forced himself to step closer to the woman. His hands shook, but his voice stayed gentle. I won't hurt you. Don't be afraid. Her eyes widened. Confusion flickered across her face. She had expected cruelty, force, but not kindness. The other women whispered among themselves, soft voices rippling through the hall. The overseer frowned, tapping his staff. Do it, human. Daniel looked at the woman again. His mind screamed to escape, but he also saw her fear. She was as much a prisoner as he was, perhaps worse, because she had no choice at all. Instead of grabbing her, Daniel did something no alien expected. He bowed his head slightly, showing respect. You don't belong in cages, he whispered, just for her. The woman gasped softly, her trembling slowed. For the first time, she looked at him not with fear, but with something else, a spark of hope. The crowd stirred uneasily. The overseer's glare darkened, but Daniel didn't back away. Something inside him shifted. He had come here to plow fields, but maybe his true work was something very different. As the hall buzzed with whispers, the overseer finally raised his staff, his voice sharp. Tonight you will finish the first field, human, or you will not live to see another dawn. Daniel lifted his head slowly, eyes meeting the overseer's. His voice was steady, even as his heart pounded. We'll see about that. The alien women watched him closely. Their fear was changing, turning into something else. And in that moment, Daniel realized the real battle. He had just begun. The hall was quiet, but the silence was heavy. Daniel stood between the tall alien overseer and the frightened silver-blue woman. Every eye in the chamber was locked on him. He could feel the pressure. Do this or die. Daniel's heart pounded. His instinct told him to run, but where would he go? He was surrounded, outnumbered, outpowered. His contract meant nothing now. The truth was clear. This colony didn't want a farmer. They wanted something else, something darker. The overseer's staff struck the floor with a hollow thud. The sound echoed like a warning bell. You are here to serve, the overseer said. Our kind is dying. Our males are gone. Our women wait. You will give us what we need. Daniel's fists tightened. He had heard of desperate colonies before, but never like this, never this twisted. And if I refuse, he asked, forcing his voice steady. The overseer leaned forward, his glowing eyes cold. Then you will be cast outside the colony walls. There are beasts in the desert that will feed on your body before the twin suns set. You will not survive an hour. Daniel's jaw clenched, his chest rose and fell. He thought of Earth, of the hunger, of the endless search for work. He had come all this way for survival. Now survival came with a price he wasn't sure he could pay. The woman beside him shifted, her hands gripping her cloth tightly. She whispered in her alien tongue, the translator catching her words. Please, human. If you refuse, they will kill us too. We are only tools to them. If you resist, their anger falls on us. Her eyes met his, shimmering violet with fear and something else, pleading. Daniel's throat went dry. He was not just deciding for himself, his choice could hurt them too. The overseer raised his staff again, his voice booming through the chamber. You have no place to run, human. You will work or you will die. Daniel thought fast. Bishal. His mind raced like a storm. He could not say yes, but he could not risk open defiance. Not now, not yet. He needed time. He needed to understand more, so he did something unexpected. He bargained. I'll do the work, Daniel said slowly, but not like a slave. If you want me, then you keep your word. Food, shelter, and pay. I want to see it now. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The alien women whispered louder. Their glowing eyes widened. No one had ever spoken back to the overseers. No one had dared to make demands. The overseer's expression hardened, his jaw twitched, his staff trembled in his grip. For a moment, Daniel thought he had made a fatal mistake, but then the overseer's lips curved into a thin smile. "Bold for a human," he muttered. "Perhaps that is why they chose you." He clapped his hands and guards brought forward a chest. Inside were strange glowing crystals, small but shining with inner light. The translator whispered in Daniel's ear, "Currency, value beyond food, enough for wealth." Daniel stared at the chest, his stomach twisted. He knew the truth now. They didn't just want him alive, they needed him. Without him, their plan collapsed. That gave him power, a dangerous kind of power. The overseer spoke again. "Food, shelter, wealth, all yours, if you obey." Daniel looked at the frightened woman beside him. Her violet eyes begged him to choose carefully. She was not part of the bargain. She was the price. Daniel's mind screamed with conflict. He had leverage. He could stall. He could use their desperation against them. But how long before they realized he was only buying time? He met the overseer's eyes and forced himself to nod. "Then we have a deal." The overseer's grin widened. "Good, human. Today you plow the first field, tonight you begin the second." The crowd cheered. The alien women bowed their heads, but Daniel stood straight, his eyes steady. Inside, he whispered to himself, "This is not a job. This is war." And somewhere deep in his chest, a plan began to form. The alien suns dipped low, painting the sky in shades of violet and red. The colony grew quiet, only the sound of wind whispering through the stone corridors. Daniel sat alone in his hut, staring at the empty bowl of food placed before him. The overseers had kept their word. Shelter, meals, even a bed. But every bite tasted bitter. He could not forget the look in the silver-blue woman's eyes. Fear mixed with hope. She had expected pain, but Daniel had shown her something different. Now, the question weighed heavy. What would happen tonight? A sharp knock echoed on the stone wall. A guard entered, tall and armored in dark plates, his glowing eyes fixed on Daniel. The overseer calls, "Human, tonight begins your duty." Daniel stood slowly, his chest heavy. His legs felt stiff as he followed the guard through winding paths lit by torches of blue flame. Shadows stretched across the walls. Alien symbols carved deep into the stone glowed faintly as he walked. They reached a chamber larger than the last hall. The air inside was warm, scented with strange flowers. Candles burned in tall holders, casting soft golden light. In the center stood a single bed made of woven fibers, draped with cloth the color of starlight. And waiting there was her, the same silver-blue woman. Her violet eyes lifted as he entered. She looked both nervous and resigned, clutching the fabric of her robe tightly to her chest. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came. The guard spoke coldly. "The first night begins. Fail, and the punishment will be severe." He stepped back, leaving the two of them alone. The silence pressed down on Daniel. His heart pounded in his ears. He could feel the weight of what they expected from him. He moved slowly, not wanting to frighten her. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The translator buzzed. Her voice was soft. "Sira." Daniel nodded, repeating it. "Sira." He smiled faintly, trying to ease her fear. "I'm Daniel." She blinked, confusion flickering in her glowing eyes. No overseer had ever asked her name. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Sira whispered, "Why do you care? You are not like the others." Daniel sighed, running a hand over his face. "Because you're not a tool. You're not a field. You're a person, and I won't treat you like this place wants me to." Her breath caught. She stepped back slightly, as if she did not believe him. Her hands shook. "If you refuse, they will hurt us both." Daniel's jaw tightened. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I'll play along for now, but I promise you, this won't last forever." Sira's violet eyes filled with tears. She whispered something so soft the translator nearly missed it. "No human has ever spoken like this. They said humans only obey or destroy." Daniel shook his head. "Not me." For a long moment they just stood there, two strangers trapped in the same cruel game. Then, slowly, Sira lowered her hands from her chest, her shoulders trembling, not in fear anymore, but in fragile trust. Daniel reached out, not roughly, not with force, but with gentleness. His fingers brushed hers. "I won't hurt you," he said again, firmly this time. Her breath shook. Then she nodded, a single tear sliding down her silver-blue cheek. Outside the chamber, heavy footsteps echoed. Guards waiting, listening, expecting sounds of obedience. Daniel glanced toward the door, then back at Sira. His mind raced. "If I resist now, they'll kill us both," he thought. "But if I gain her trust, maybe together we can find a way out." He forced a smile, whispered so only she could hear. "Tonight, we survive. Tomorrow, we plan." And in that quiet moment, under the candlelight, an unspoken bond was formed. Not of desire, not of power, but of survival. The overseers thought this was the first night of control, but for Daniel and Sira, it was the first night of something else, the first night of rebellion. The suns rose again, painting the colony in golden fire. Daniel walked through the courtyard under the watch of 2 guards. His body was tired, but his spirit was restless. The memory of Sira's trembling hand in his still lingered. That night had not broken him. It had done the opposite. The aliens believed the human would bend. They believed fear would chain him. But Daniel felt something new. Anger. He had seen too much. He could not remain silent forever. The women in the colony whispered as he passed. Their glowing eyes followed him. Some lowered their heads quickly, afraid of punishment, but others dared to look longer. Their stares were not only fearful anymore, they carried something else, a spark, Daniel noticed. He slowed his steps and whispered when the guards were distracted. "Stay strong, change is coming." One woman gasped quietly, another covered her mouth, but none betrayed him, not yet. The overseer awaited him at the training yard, a place filled with strange tools, long staffs, sharp hooks, even chains. Daniel frowned. This was no farmyard. "What is this?" he asked. The overseer's voice was sharp. "If you are to serve, you must grow stronger. Your body will endure more than one woman. You will learn to obey without question." Daniel clenched his fists. Inside, his rage grew. They did not see him as a man, only as a breeding machine, a tool, just like the women. Hours passed. Sweat dripped from his face as he lifted alien weights. His muscles burned. The guards barked commands. But Daniel listened less to them and more to the whispers carried on the wind. Alien women watching from the shadows, their eyes fixed on him. That night, back in the hut, a soft knock came at his door. Daniel froze. Then, slowly, he opened it. Sira slipped inside. Her violet eyes glowed in the dark. She carried a small piece of cloth, folded tight. She whispered quickly, "Do not speak loud. They are listening. This is for you." She handed him the cloth. Inside was a small shard of crystal glowing faintly blue. Daniel frowned. "What is it?" "A key," she breathed, "to the lower gates, the tunnels. Few know about them. If you want freedom, this is your chance." Daniel stared at her, shocked. "Why are you helping me?" Her eyes shimmered. "Because you showed me kindness. Because you did not treat me like a field. Others saw it too. They believe. Maybe you are different. Maybe you can lead." Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to deny it, to say he was no savior, but deep inside he knew the truth. This was bigger than him now. Suddenly, a noise outside, the stomp of guards. Sira grabbed his wrist, panic flashing in her eyes. "Hide it! Quick!" Daniel stuffed the crystal shard under his bed just as the door burst open. 2 guards stepped in, their glowing eyes scanning the room. "Talking?" one hissed. "Who was here?" Daniel stood tall, his face calm. "No one. I was alone." The guards searched the room, their claws scraping against stone. Sira pressed herself into the shadows, unseen. Finally, after long tense moments, they left, slamming the door behind them. Daniel exhaled slowly, turning back to Sira. "They're watching me closer. If I make a wrong move, we're both dead." Sira stepped closer, her voice firm despite her shaking. "Then do not make a wrong move. Make the right one. You cannot save us all at once, but you can start, and we will follow." Her words struck him harder than any overseer's threat. He realized something. Rebellion was not a choice anymore. It had already begun, in whispers, in glances, in secret acts of courage. Daniel touched the hidden crystal shard under his bed. Its faint glow seeped through the cracks, like a promise. He looked into Sierra's violet eyes and whispered, "Then we fight, but on my terms, not theirs." For the first time since his arrival, Daniel felt something stronger than fear, stronger than anger. He felt purpose, and as the colony slept, the seeds of rebellion began to grow. The night air in the alien colony was heavy, carrying the sound of distant drums that echoed through the stone walls. Daniel sat on his bed, the glowing shard hidden beneath him. His thoughts were a storm. He had power now, small, fragile, but real. The next morning, guards dragged him again to the training yard. His muscles ached, but his mind was elsewhere. He remembered Sierra's words, "We will follow." He wondered how many women secretly wished to escape. How many were waiting for someone to make the first move? When the overseer barked orders, Daniel obeyed just enough to avoid punishment. But in his heart, he was building something, a plan. That evening, when the guards finally released him back to his hut, another soft knock came. This time, 3 women slipped inside. Sierra was among them, but the others were strangers. One had hair like molten gold, her skin shimmering bronze. The other was small and quiet, her eyes glowing pale blue. Sierra spoke first, her voice urgent. "They trust you now, Daniel. They see you are different. They want to help." The golden-haired woman leaned closer, whispering, "The overseers will never let you leave alive. Once they think you are no longer useful, you will be discarded. But the tunnels beneath the colony lead outside, past the beasts, past the walls." Daniel frowned. "Tunnels? How do you know this?" The quiet woman finally spoke, her voice thin but steady. "We were born here. We know the hidden paths. The overseers fear them, because the tunnels were built before their rule. They never destroyed them. They only guard the gates." Sierra pulled the crystal shard from under the bed. "This is one key. There are more. If we can gather them, we can open the lowest gate. Then we all escape." Daniel ran a hand through his hair. The risk was enormous. Guards were everywhere. The overseers were powerful. If we're caught, they'll kill us all. Sierra's violet eyes locked onto his. "We are already dying here. Better to die fighting than to live as fields." The room went quiet. Daniel stared at the 3 women. He saw their desperation, but also their courage. His chest tightened. He had come here only to survive. Now he was being asked for more. Finally, Daniel nodded. "All right, we'll need a plan. Something to distract the overseers. Something that makes them blind while we move." The golden-haired woman smiled faintly. "Tomorrow is the harvest ceremony. All overseers gather in the great hall. The guards drink. They grow careless." Daniel's mind sharpened. The ceremony could be their chance. He stood, pacing the room. "Then tomorrow night we start, but we need more keys." "How many?" The quiet woman whispered. 3. We know where 2 are kept. The last is carried by the chief overseer himself." Daniel let out a low breath. "Then we take them quietly, carefully. No mistakes." The women exchanged glances. Their glowing eyes reflected determination. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed outside. The guards were making rounds. Daniel's heart raced. He gestured for silence. Everyone pressed into the shadows. The door creaked open slightly. A guard's glowing eyes peered inside. He sniffed the air, then moved on. The women exhaled softly. Daniel whispered, "Tomorrow, during the ceremony, we move. Until then, act normal, trust nothing, speak to no one." They all nodded, slipping out one by one, until only Sierra remained. She touched Daniel's arm gently, her voice soft but firm. "You carry the hope of many now. Do not let it break you." Daniel met her eyes, his voice low. "Hope doesn't break me, Sierra. It makes me dangerous." And as the alien colony prepared for its grand harvest ceremony, Daniel prepared something far greater, a secret plan that could change everything. The night of the harvest ceremony arrived. The colony was alive with noise. Drums pounded through the stone courtyards. Torches lit the walls with blue and gold fire. Alien overseers filled the grand hall, drinking thick glowing wine and chanting in deep voices. Guards leaned against pillars, some already staggering from drink. Daniel walked through the courtyard with 2 guards at his side, his body tense, his mind racing. He knew this was the only chance. If they failed tonight, they would never get another. From the shadows of the huts, alien women watched him. Their glowing eyes flickered with secret hope. Some clasped their hands tightly, whispering prayers in their strange tongue. They could not act openly, not yet, but they were ready, waiting. Inside his hut, hidden under his bed, was the shard key. Tonight it would unlock the tunnels. Tonight freedom might be possible. When the drums grew louder, Sira slipped quietly into his hut. Her violet eyes glowed in the dim firelight. Behind her came the golden-haired woman and the quiet, pale blue-eyed one. All three carried small bundles, food, water, cloth, even makeshift weapons carved from farming tools. Sira's voice trembled but was firm. The overseers will not notice us now. They are drunk with power and drink. We move while they feast. Daniel nodded, gripping the shard. Then we move fast. No mistakes. The four slipped out into the shadows, staying close to the walls. The sound of drums and laughter covered their footsteps. The golden-haired woman pointed. The second shard is in the guardhouse by the east wall. They crept toward the guardhouse, Daniel's heart pounding. Inside, one guard sat slumped against the wall, half asleep. The glowing shard hung from his belt. Daniel crouched low, whispering, "I'll take it." He slid forward silently, every muscle tight. His hand hovered over the shard, his fautes. Fingers brushed it. The guard stirred, his glowing eyes snapping open. Daniel's chest seized. For one heartbeat, time froze. Then the golden-haired woman moved. She swung a stone hard against the guard's head. He slumped again, unconscious. Daniel grabbed the shard quickly, whispering, "Good work, let's go." They slipped out, moving fast toward the lower gates. Sira led them through narrow stone alleys. The pale blue woman whispered, "The third shard. The overseer carries it. It will be hard to take." Daniel clenched his jaw. "We'll worry about that when we reach him." Finally, they reached the hidden passage. The stone steps led downward, cold air rushing up from below. Daniel fit the two shards into the locks. Blue light shimmered. The gate creaked open slightly, revealing darkness beyond. But before they could enter, voices shouted. Torches flared. Guards swarmed into the alley. The overseer himself stepped forward, tall and terrifying, his staff glowing with green fire. "You thought you could trick us, human?" His voice thundered. "You thought we did not see the whispers? The stolen keys? You are clever, but not clever enough." Daniel's stomach dropped. Betrayal, someone had told them. Someone had given them away. The guards closed in. Their spears glowed with crackling energy. The alien women gasped, clutching their makeshift weapons. Daniel stepped in front of them, holding the two shards in his hands, his voice steady. "If you want me alive, you won't kill me. And if you want your fields, you won't touch them either." The overseer sneered, raising his staff. "Alive or dead, human, you will serve. Tonight you pay the price for rebellion." The guards lunged forward. Daniel swung a stolen tool like a weapon, knocking one back. Sparks flew as another spear clashed against stone. Sira cried out as she pushed a guard away. The golden-haired woman swung her makeshift blade. The alley exploded into chaos. But they were outnumbered. Daniel's arms burned, his chest heaved. The shards glowed faintly in his grip, almost enough to open the gate. Almost. The overseer's voice thundered above the chaos. "Seize them all. None leave alive." And in that desperate moment, Daniel realized something. Escape was no longer the plan, it was survival. The alley was filled with chaos, clashing weapons, shouts, and glowing torches. Daniel swung the heavy farm tool with all his strength, knocking a guard off his feet. Sparks burst as another guard's spear scraped across the stone wall. The women fought beside him, but they were weaker, armed with nothing more than sticks and broken blades. The overseer's staff glowed brighter, his eyes blazing green. "End this now!" he roared. Guards surged forward in waves. Daniel gritted his teeth, clutching the two shard keys in his hand. If he could just reach the gate, if he could slot them in, maybe they had a chance. But before he could move, a piercing cry cut through the night. The pale blue woman, the quiet one who had shown them the tunnels, fell to her knees, her hands raised high, her voice trembling as she shouted to the overseers, "Spare me! It was me! I told you everything!" Daniel froze. His blood ran cold. The battle seemed to pause. All eyes turned toward her. She looked at the overseer, tears streaming down her glowing cheeks. "I warned you. I told you the human would try to escape. Please let me live. I was loyal." The golden-haired woman gasped in shock. "You traitor!" she cried, her voice shaking with fury. Syrah's face twisted in disbelief. "Why?" The overseer's smile stretched wide, cruel and triumphant. He stepped forward, patting the pale blue woman's bowed head like a master rewarding a pet. "Well done, little one. You have served us well. Perhaps you will be spared." Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. Rage burned hotter too. Hand fire. He had trusted her, believed in her, and she had betrayed them all. The guards surged forward with renewed strength, spears pressing close. Daniel fought back desperately, striking one down, but he could feel the circle closing. The overseer pointed his staff at Syrah. "Take the violet-eyed one alive. She is valuable." Daniel roared, forcing himself between Syrah and the guards. His arms burned, every muscle screaming. The shards in his hand glowed faintly, as if calling to him, but he had no time to reach the lock, no space. The golden-haired woman lunged at the traitor, her voice breaking with grief. "You doomed us all!" She swung her blade, but a guard shoved her down, her cry echoing through the night. Syrah clutched Daniel's arm, whispering, "We can't win here, run! Save yourself!" Daniel shook his head, his voice fierce. "I don't run, not without you!" But the truth was clear. The plan had collapsed, betrayal had ripped it apart. The overseers had known everything, every step, every secret. The overseer lifted his staff high, green fire swirling at its tip. His voice thundered like a storm. "This human thought he could break our chains, but tonight, he learns what it means to defy us." The guards slammed into Daniel, forcing him down. His arms strained as he tried to hold on to the shards, but rough claws pried them from his grip. They glowed in the overseer's hands now, victory shining in his eyes. Syrah screamed, struggling against two guards holding her back. Her voice cracked with despair. "Daniel!" He thrashed, but three guards pinned him to the stone ground. Their weight crushed his chest. His breath came short. The overseer stepped closer, staff glowing like a burning star, his smile cold. "Your rebellion ends here, human." Daniel glared up at him, blood on his lips, his voice low but sharp as steel. "This isn't the end. It's just the start." But the overseer only laughed, his voice echoing over the silent crowd. Behind him, the pale blue traitor stood trembling, her hands clasped, hoping for mercy. And in that moment, Daniel knew sometimes the worst danger wasn't the chains around you, it was the knife hidden in the hands of someone you trusted. Daniel's body was pressed hard against the cold stone. Three guards held him down, claws digging into his shoulders. His chest burned with each breath. Above him, the overseer's staff glowed green, the tip humming with violent energy. Syrah struggled against her captors, her violet eyes wet with tears. "Let him go!" she cried. Her voice cracked, echoing across the courtyard, but her words were only met with laughter. The pale blue traitor stood in the shadows, trembling. Her eyes darted between Daniel and the overseer. Fear and regret flickered across her face, but she did not speak. The overseer raised his staff higher, his booming voice filling the air. "This is the fate of those who defy us. No one escapes, no one resists." The alien crowd had gathered around, women forced to watch. Their glowing eyes reflected fear. They had seen rebellions crushed before. They had learned silence was survival, but this time felt different. Daniel forced his head up, blood on his lips. His voice was ragged but steady. "Look at me. You are not tools. You are not fields. You are alive. You have power, and they fear you more than they admit." The guards shoved him down, but his words cut through the night. Whispers rippled through the alien women, their hands clenched, their eyes widened. For the first time they looked not at the overseers, but at him. The overseer snarled, slamming his staff down inches from Daniel's face. Green fire seared the stone. "Silence him," he ordered. But a sudden cry rang out, not from Daniel, from the crowd. A young alien woman broke from the line, her silver hair glowing under the torchlight. She shouted, "He speaks the truth! We are not fields!" The guards froze, surprised. The overseer's eyes widened in fury, but before he could react, another voice joined. Then another. Dozens of alien women raised their voices, their cries shaking the courtyard. "No more chains! No more overseers! We are free!" The air trembled with the sound. Daniel's heart surged, hope burned through his chest. He could feel the shift. Fear was breaking. One woman hurled a stone at a guard. It struck his head. He fell. The silence shattered into chaos. The crowd surged forward like a wave. Alien women grabbed torches, stones, even their bare hands, charging the guards. The overseer roared, "Crush them!" But the guards were overwhelmed. They were strong, but they were few, and the women were many. Daniel used the distraction, slamming his elbow into one guard's throat. The grip on his shoulder loosened. He twisted, striking another with a stolen spear. His muscles screamed with pain, but freedom gave him strength. Sira tore free from her captors, rushing to his side. Together, they fought back, side by side. Her violet eyes blazed with fury now, not fear. The golden-haired woman rose from the ground, swinging her broken blade into a guard's chest. He fell, and she shouted to the crowd, "Fight! For all of us!" The uprising spread like fire. The courtyard echoed with battle cries. Overseers scrambled, their control slipping with every heartbeat. Daniel grabbed the shard keys from the fallen overseer's belt. His hand burned with their glow. He shouted to the women, "To the gates! Freedom waits below!" The crowd surged toward the lower tunnels, fighting through guards. Daniel and Sira led the charge, their steps pounding against the stone. The overseer tried to rise, but a storm of alien women knocked him down. His staff clattered away, his green fire sputtering. The pale blue traitor pressed herself against the wall, her face pale. Regret filled her eyes as she watched the very rebellion she had tried to stop. She whispered to herself, "What have I done?" But no one listened. The uprising had no space for her tears. Daniel shoved the shard into the first lock. Blue light blazed across the gate. Sira pushed the second shard into place. The stone doors rumbled open, revealing darkness and wind rushing from below. The overseer screamed behind them, his voice breaking. "You will all die in the tunnels. You will never survive the desert." But his words were drowned by the thunder of voices rising as one. "Freedom! Freedom!" Daniel looked at Sira, their hands brushing, his voice low but fierce. "This is it. There's no going back now." Her violet eyes met his, glowing bright. "Then we go forward." And together, with hundreds behind them, they plunged into the tunnels, carrying with them the fire of rebellion. The tunnels swallowed them whole. Cold wind rushed through the dark passage, carrying the scent of freedom and danger. Daniel led the way, the glowing shards in his hand lighting the walls carved long before the overseers had taken power. Behind him, Sira and dozens of alien women followed, their footsteps echoing like thunder underground. Everywhere was fear, but also something new, hope. For the first time, their glowing eyes were not lowered in shame. They were lifted, focused on the path ahead. The ground shook above them. Overseers shouted in the distance, their voices muffled by stone. Daniel knew they would chase them soon. He pushed faster. "Keep moving! Don't stop!" The tunnel opened into a vast cavern, its ceiling glittering with glowing crystals. Pools of water reflected the light. It was beautiful, untouched. Sira gasped softly. "This place, it's older than our colony." Daniel stopped for a moment, looking at her, sweat streaking down his face. "Older maybe, but now it's ours." The golden-haired woman, carrying a broken blade, turned back to the group. "We can't stay. The overseers will follow. We must reach the surface." They pushed deeper, the sound of their march mixing with distant roars. Daniel's stomach tightened. The overseer's warning echoed in his mind. "The desert beasts will feed on you before the sun set." Soon, the tunnel ended in a stone gate, older than the others, thick with dust. Daniel fit the shards into the locks. Blue light pulsed. The gate trembled. Slowly, it opened, revealing the outside. A vast desert stretched under twin suns. Winds whipped across dunes of golden sand. The horizon burned with heat, but above it all was something they had not seen in years. An open sky. The women stepped out one by one, their faces lit with awe. Some cried, some laughed. Their chains were gone. But the sound of pursuit grew louder. Overseers were coming, guards shouting, torches blazing. Daniel turned, sweat dripping down his brow. His muscles screamed from exhaustion, but he raised the heavy farm tool still in his grip. "Go, I'll hold them back." Sira grabbed his arm fiercely, her violet eyes blazing. "No, you're not dying here, not alone." Others echoed her cry. "We fight together." The golden-haired woman lifted her broken blade high. The crowd of alien women rallied around Daniel, their voices rising as one. The desert wind carried their cries far into the night. The first guards burst from the tunnel, weapons glowing. But this time they met not silence, not submission, but fury. Stones flew, blades clashed, torches turned into firebrands. The uprising continued under the open sky. Daniel fought at the front, every strike fueled by something deeper than survival. He was no longer a worker, no longer a prisoner. He was their shield, their leader, their human. The overseer himself stumbled into the light, his robes torn, his staff crackling with dying fire, his face twisted with rage. "You think you are free? The desert will kill you if I do not." Daniel stepped forward, blood on his lip, eyes burnished. Maybe, but at least we'll die free. The alien women roared in agreement. Their voices shook the desert itself. The overseer swung his staff, but Daniel blocked it with the farm tool. Sparks exploded. Syrah rushed in beside him, striking with a stolen spear. The green glow of the staff cracked. The overseer screamed as his own weapon shattered. The guards faltered, fear creeping into their glowing eyes. For the first time, they saw what their masters feared most: unity, and then silence. The overseers broke, retreating back into the tunnels. The desert wind carried their cries away. The women dropped their weapons, breathing hard. The horizon stretched endless before them. For the first time, it was theirs. Daniel stood in the sand, chest heaving. His eyes scanned the group, battered but alive. Syrah stepped beside him, her hand brushing his, her voice soft but full of strength. "What now?" He looked at her, then at the rising suns, his voice steady. "Now, we build something new. Not fields of chains, but a home." The alien women gathered close. Some held hands. Some lifted their faces to the sky. Their glowing eyes reflected the light of freedom. Daniel planted the broken farm tool into the sand, its shadow stretching long. It was no longer a symbol of labor. It was a symbol of defiance. A human had come to plow fields, but instead, he had sown rebellion, and under twin suns, a new beginning was born.